This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And good evening, one and all. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Now, you can always send us an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, and all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our main website at www.xzoneradio.com. The X-Zone comes to you Monday through Friday right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network and the all-new IPBN Radio Network. Wow, this is truly a place where people dare to believe. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, and in this crazy world of ours that we see before us, my good heavens, and as I've said before, all our love and our thoughts are to the many people who are suffering today in Orlando at the hands of that stupid terrorist who had nothing better to do and should never have had his hand on any guns, but that's another story. Exonation, my first guest tonight is Charles Lehman, and Charles is with Chuck's Paranormal Adventures. His website is chucksghost.com. And Chuck, welcome to the X-Zone.
Oh, thank you, Rob. I just want to say it's a pleasure and an honor to be on with you tonight, and I'd also like to add my prayers and thoughts go out to the families of the Orlando victims as well. Terrible tragedy.
It certainly is, Chuck, and you'd think by now that there would be checks and balances in place to avoid such catastrophes, but I guess we're dealing with new and unforeseen events that law enforcement, the intelligence agencies, they've got their hands full, but to the people of Orlando, the people of the LGBT community, not only in Orlando, but around the world, everyone has their rights, and no one should have their rights trampled upon by another person, whether it's a religious right, a philosophical right, or the right to love who you want to love. So anyway, to everyone, love, peace, and prayers. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Chuck.
Okay. Well, I'm 51 years old. I started investigating the paranormal in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
I got started. My wife and we were big fans of the TV shows, and one day, Ghost Adventures. That's actually where my name comes from. It's sort of a tribute to them because they got me started. Aaron at Wave. It was. I forget the name of the place. But anyhow, he issued a challenge to skeptics out there that said, listen, if you don't believe that this is real and you think it's all phony, go out and do it yourself. So I got myself an audio recorder, a K2 meter, a digital thermometer, and my camera, went to a local cemetery for an hour, walked around for about 15 minutes, and I said, yeah, I feel like kind of like a fool doing this. But then I got into it, and then I got home, I listened to my audio recorder, and I had 6 EVPs. So then I have to go back and do it again, and then again, and then, here I am 6 years later, and all I can say is, it's a crazy, crazy world out there, and you just never know what's going to happen.
Tell me, what was it like hearing your first EVP?
It was very shocking because, and actually the very first EVP, it sounded like a little boy's voice saying the name Anthony. And I was in a small cemetery. It dated back to Civil War times. But I was the only person in the cemetery. It was about 6:30 in the evening, just around dusk.
Right.
I certainly didn't hear any voices. And I was like, oh, my God. I said, there really is a voice here. There really is something to these TV shows. I mean, that was 6 years ago. Granted, things are a bit more, I'm sure you've seen everything is a demon and horrible evil. And, I didn't get that sense at the time that it was, evil. I was just amazed. And then so, it's like, you drop that hook in the water, the fish bites, and that was me. I'm the fish biting, so I had to keep going back and back again after the hook.
So to paraphrase, you were hooked once you had your first EVP. How come? Yes. Would you rather work on your own versus working with a group?
When I started, I actually really had no choice because my work schedule was kind of funky. Most teams work on weekends, and my days off are during the middle of the week. So what I would do is I would go to places, cemeteries.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine like hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining room can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you're visiting, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, old Florida cuisine at its best.
This is Johanna Carroll, host of Dialogue with Divinity on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. While walking along Kaanapali Beach in Maui this past year, I kept discovering all these shells and coral in the shape of hearts. My dialogue with Divinity was very simple. Do you want me to do a retreat to heal people's hearts in Maui next year? And of course, the answer was yes. As a master spiritual teacher, I am offering you a neat retreat called Rise, May 8th through the 12th, 2017, and the chance of a lifetime to rest at a 5-star resort for 5 days and experience a spiritual renewal of your heart and soul. Kaanapali is one of the top 5 beaches in the world. This stunning resort has undergone a $40 million renovation. I walked the entire property, checked out the room choices on your behalf, and I must say it is stunning. Our conference room faces the ocean with sliding glass doors. Maui is known as Mother Maui because it is a soft, gentle, healing energy. In the embrace of Mother Maui, you will feel yourself rising from the limitations of an ordinary life to an extraordinary journey of peace, bliss, and harmony, a greater sense of clarity. Our Rise Retreat ignites renewal in the sacred elements of air, water, earth, fire, and wind. There's plenty of free time to enjoy all that Maui has to offer. A small deposit is required now to reserve your space, as this retreat, it will sell out. For more details, please go to johannacarroll.com and register today. Aloha, and I'll see you in mystical Maui.
Welcome back, everyone. Chuck Lehmen is our special guest, www.chucksghost.com. And Chuck is the Chuck behind Chuck's Paranormal Adventures, and they're in the beautiful state of New Jersey. So tell me, Chuck, here you are, you go out on your own, not part of a group, but your family goes with you, am I correct?
Actually, no. Well, actually, for the first 5.5 years, my wife, Andrea, who I have to give much credit for because she supports me 1,000%, she was too afraid. My daughter was too afraid to go out, so it's been basically me. I mean, I have gone out with other teams in the field and worked with them, and I enjoy it, and sometimes I take groups out, people going out on their first investigations.
Right.
But my wife didn't go out for the first time with me until last Halloween when we did a local cemetery, Old Tenet Church Cemetery.
So what was it like for your wife after the first time that she went out with you? Is she hooked?
I wouldn't say she's hooked just yet. I'm slowly reeling her into it. She's going to slap me after saying that. But it was a daytime investigation because a lot of the local places, they have curfew hours,
Sure.
and obviously I don't want to trespass or do anything disrespectful like that. But during the day, and there was about 10 of us, so she felt comfortable. We caught some EVPs and had some good spirit box evidence that day. But for the most part, what I do is like when I'm doing my own evidence review, because I'm the solo person, so I have to do everything myself.
Right.
If I'm not sure about something, I'll have her come and listen to it, and usually she gives me a good perspective on what she hears versus what I hear.
So, Chuck, where has been the most haunted place that you have gone to do an investigation?
Without a doubt, it would be the old Washoe Club in Virginia City, Nevada. 2 years ago, we took a family vacation to Lake Tahoe, and it turned out Virginia City was only an hour away. So I looked up the website for the location. They were featured on Ghost Adventures, and they had a deal where you paid a fee and you can come investigate for the whole night as a lockdown. So I said, if we're going to Lake Tahoe, I'm going to drive that hour to Virginia City because it was on my bucket list. I had to go there, and for 7 hours. I mean, when they say you're in a lockdown, I mean, you're literally in a lockdown because it was off-season, so Virginia City during the middle of the week literally becomes a ghost town after the bars close at 8 o'clock. So I was in mostly the pitch dark on these 3 floors and a wine cellar that they used to store bodies in during the winter time when they couldn't be buried because it was too cold outside to dig up the earth. So I lasted until about 2:30 in the morning, which was 5:30 Central Time, and I was too tired to go on. But all night long, its doors are slamming and bangs, and that feeling chills around you, and it was constantly around me all night. I was waiting for a door to slam in my face, and I probably would have left for the evening a bit earlier than I did, but it didn't happen. So I toughed it out. Whew, that was a rough night for sure.
Have you actually seen a spirit?
On 2 occasions, and I'm still not sure. There was a home investigation I did with a team greater. It was Galloway Township Paranormal Society. They've since moved to Texas, and they're Greatest Texas Paranormal now. And in the house investigation, me and this lady, Deborah, were up on the second floor in a bedroom that had activity. And we were sitting there, not too much was going on. And then as I'm looking out of the corner of my eye, I see a white mist form on the side of the bed. And then it vanished, I mean, literally in 2 seconds. And I was like, and I said out loud, I said, oh, that was interesting. And then Deborah, who was off to my side, she goes, oh, I saw that too. And I thought, oh, I had a static camcorder set up that maybe we caught it, but it was just off the field of the camcorder.
Oh, jeez.
But by having the camcorder up, though, we were able to debunk that it wasn't a passing car because it did cover a window.
Right.
So we watched the footage to see if any lights had come through the window shade, because we would have picked that up easily. There was no such light. So that was one time. And another time was at a place called the Marconi Hotel. It was used by the Army back in the 40s, and we were up in an attic. The first time we were there on a spirit box, we had heard a cat meow, which I had never heard an animal come through a spirit box before, so that was really interesting. And then the next time we were there, out of the corner of my eye, it looked like a white cat walking across the floor, and then I turned my head and it wasn't there. So I said, everybody start snapping photographs, because I just saw, I say a ghost cat, but we didn't capture anything when everybody started snapping photographs.
How do you deal with people who go out on these ghost investigations and see nothing, hear nothing, and yet there are other people on the investigation or in the location who are actually seeing and hearing things? How is this possible, in your opinion?
I think a lot of it has to do as to how open we are for seeing such things, and I think also maybe the character of the person. I mean, I haven't seen it personally myself, but hearing from other people, they can have a team or a group of people go out, and you have like 2 or 3 people who are jerks, and they're antagonizing, and they're being disrespectful, and they don't get anything. And then meanwhile, in another part of the building, you have a couple of people that are nice. They're trying to use trigger objects. They're trying to be, we want to be your friend. We want to help you if you need it. And then they get that type of interaction. That's the type of interaction I get. So I think people who don't get interaction, and I would say more than once, but like sometimes you can go to a place and there's just no activity because the ghosts, they don't act on command. They don't come out and play when we call them to. But I think if a person's constantly going out and they're not getting any action, I think it has to do more with that person than it does with the spirits of the location.
Exonation, my guest this hour is Chuck Lehman, and Chuck is the founder of Chuck's Paranormal Adventures. His website is chucksghost.com. Why do you think some spirits, some ghosts, stay behind, Chuck, and others go to the light or wherever it is they go?
That's a great question, and I actually have 2 parts for this one. The first one that I'd researched when I first started, hearing cries for help, and I said, what can I do to help a ghost? Because I feel bad that somebody's calling for help. And a lot of websites, it said it's, maybe they're afraid of eternal damnation, so they don't want to cross in the light out of fear of punishment. They're afraid of leaving family members behind, or in some cases, the death is so sudden, the spirit doesn't even realize it's dead. And we've actually, there was a case I was on, it was the Logan Inn, an old inn in New Hope, Pennsylvania. I was there with Bearfort Paranormal, and we were in a room of, there was a spirit named Emily Lutz. She was an owner that died, I think, in the 30s or 40s. And we caught an EVP from her, and it was really clear. She said, "I am not dead." So does she think that she's not dead, or does she realize she doesn't have a body, but her mind continues, so she sees that as not being dead?
Fascinating.
So, so in that case, I think sometimes that happens. But from doing what I call, I'm what's also called a gatekeeper, and I try to help spirits cross into the light, and through a lot of spiritual studies and stuff, I find that everything has got a vibration and a frequency.
Right.
You, me, everything, rocks. The spirits have it. Now, the light is a high frequency, a high vibration, because that's love. I think love is the highest frequency, the highest vibration. Spirits that are still down here that can't find the light, I think they're so bogged down with negative emotions, anger, fear, resentment, jealousy, loneliness, and they drag themselves down with these low frequency inducing emotions, so they have trouble finding the light, so they stay here. And then of course it takes somebody like me or another gatekeeper to come along and try to convince them to shed themselves of these negative emotions, find the love within them that's there, and then they'll be able to find the light.
What happens if they don't want to go?
Not too much. There's some places we've gone where we've tried to, convince spirits their time is here, but the attachment to the land or their house just might be so strong, or an attachment to a loved one is still behind. They know that they're supposed to go into the light, but they're fearful that, maybe they won't be able to come back again, so they'll stay here. Unfortunately, not everybody's ready to cross into the light. I wish we could get everybody to go, but unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't happen.
Why are bars so popular when it comes to the dead?
That's an interesting question. Thinking about the West and the saloons, I could see that easily being because a lot of people spent a lot of time in the saloons and drinking and having fun. If I was murdered in a saloon, I don't know if I'd want to stay there. I'd probably want to get out of there, but that's a really good question. I've actually had people from New Jersey also tell me about, local bars at, I think there was one at a VFW in particular, and somebody died there, but I don't know, maybe they just like the location and they hang out there. The saloon or the bar was a fun place, a lot of stuff happening, so maybe that's a place they wanted to stay. They wanted to keep having fun in the afterlife.
As a paranormal investigator, what do you hope to find?
For me, it's every place is unique on its own. Anybody can go to locations and catch all different EVPs, or equipment interaction, but not everything works in the same place. Like I have tons of equipment. A lot of stuff won't work in one location, but at another it might.
Right.
It's just, there is a thrill to it of, like, I like to go to places that have never been investigated before, only because I want to see if there is actually activity there. Like, a lot of people can go to, like I said, the old Washoe Club.
Sure.
A lot of people go there, or Gettysburg, for example. I go to Monmouth Battlefield because...
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and you're listening to us on the Mutual Broadcast Network and the IPBN Radio Network. Hey, did you know that now, when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can actually still listen to the X-Zone and my good friend Jeremy Scott's show that follows us here, Dark 30, every minute of the Mutual Broadcast Network day by calling 605-562-4204. That's courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone app or internet is needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Once again, call 605-562-4204 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. My guest this hour is Chuck Lehmen, and Chuck's website is chucksghost.com, and he is the Chuck behind Chuck's Paranormal Adventures. And Chuck, thanks very much for joining us. Great having you with us tonight.
Oh, it's a real pleasure to be here again. Thank you so much for inviting me. I do appreciate it.
Chuck, what is the message that Chuck Lehmen from Chuck's Paranormal Adventure would love to get out to the listening audience of the X-Zone Nation when it comes to, looking for proof, getting your EVPs dirty with voices, and what would you like to say about the paranormal itself?
Well, the first thing I would say to the audience is anybody who's interested in doing it and you think you're going to be rich and famous, you can throw that out the window right now because I guarantee you... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I thought you were talking about radio there for a second.
Believe me, I would love to have your job in a heartbeat, but you do such a great job. Believe me, I have no intention of trying to take it away from you. But I find that there's a lot of people out there because of the TV shows. Mm-hmm. They want to form a group and become investigators. The serious people will do it regardless. Like me, I'll do some house investigations.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of solo stuff. I like to go out with other folks, other teams sometimes. But I knew from day one that this was not going to be something you're going to make money in and be rich and famous. It's, very, very few select people. I see a lot of teams, they start up thinking, they spend $2,000 on equipment. 6 months later, when they haven't gotten any phone calls and no TV offers, and they haven't resorted to fudging evidence, which is a huge no-no. The next thing is they're selling their equipment on eBay for a quarter of the price that they sold it for, and then they're in the dustbin of history. So, you're not going to get rich and famous. Second, you really have to expect the unexpected out there. That's my personal motto, because you have no idea where this road is going to lead you. Like, I know we really haven't touched upon it, but I'm not just a paranormal investigator. Through this, I ended up becoming a gatekeeper, crossing spirits over. And for the past 4 years of my life, at least once a week, I have to sit down in my house when my wife and my daughter are, work in school, and I have to help spirits cross into the light, ones that show up here at my house looking for my help. So you have to be careful what you wish for. If you want to do it, that's great, but you just have to realize whatever path the universe has for you, you may not like where it's going to take you. So that would be my thing. And again, don't fake evidence, because EVPs, for any good EVP I can produce, there's 1,000 teams that also have equally good evidence. If you can't get a good EVP or a good spirit box or some good evidence, it just may be you're not meant to do paranormal investigating. You not be cut out for the field.
What is this gatekeeper position that you hold? Tell me more about this.
I actually stumbled into this by accident, and it's a little story here. Through a long chain of events where again, there's no such thing as coincidence, I ended up getting scratched on an investigation. And I ended up, a psychic had told me that a female spirit was trying to form an attachment with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to get all this stuff to get rid of this attachment before it formed. So I ended up going to a local spiritual store and ran into this lady named Amy, who 6 years later is now my spiritual / Reiki / meditation teacher, So I run into her and I explained to her what happened, and she says, "Oh, she's a gatekeeper." So I said, "What's a gatekeeper?" And she says, "Oh, it's you help cross spirits into the light." And I said, "Oh, because I get these spirits that show up at my house out of the blue." And she said, "Well, it's because you've acknowledged trying to help them cross into the light." That's basically what a gatekeeper is in a nutshell. Is you're trying to help spirits cross into the light. Little did I realize that by doing this, it sort of put a ghost GPS on my back. So spirits that weren't even at investigations I've gone to, like I can go 3 or 4 months without an investigation, and spirits still show up here at the house looking for me because they're looking for help to cross into the light.
How does that make you feel that you have been chosen for such a significant reason and to help so many?
At first, it was very unnerving and very scary. Just a quick recap of my first 3 incidents. A spirit one night. I go to bed early because of my work job, and my wife goes to bed later than I do. So I'm sleeping. I wake up about an hour later. It's about 9:30, and I see a form by the side of my bed that looks like my wife's grandfather. And it disappears quick, so I figure, oh, it's just the sand in my eyes from waking up and seeing things. About a week later, I see another figure standing by the side of my bed. It's a female with curly hair, and again, it's a fleeting thing. It's gone. Again, I'm thinking, oh, I just woke up and I'm seeing things. A week after that, I wake up and my eyes are open a good minute, and I see it's dark in the room, and I see a male with a green shirt, as clear as like you would be looking in your studio right now.
Right.
Form at the edge of my bed, walk left to right, and vanish into the blue. And so I know I didn't just make that up out of the sand in my eyes from waking up. So I freak out. I jump out of bed and I'm yelling, "Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ," because if it's a demon, it's not going to let me see Jesus Christ. So, all right, it's not a demon, but my heart's pounding a mile a minute. And then the next time I see Amy, my teacher, she tells me, "Well, yeah, because they're showing up to see you now." And then she said, "You got to set boundaries." And what's boundaries? Boundaries is just tell them that once a week you'll sit down and you'll help them to cross into the light, but in return, they're not supposed to wake you up while they're sleeping. Don't bother the dogs. Don't bother the wife. Don't bother the daughter. Don't play with the electronics in the house. One time when my wife was in the shower getting ready for work, our water pick turned on and sprayed water all over the bathroom. So I said, okay, let's not do that anymore, please. I get in enough trouble for that. So,
as if guys don't have enough problem with their wives just doing the things we do that we think are just guy things, but to have spirits start playing with the water pick, spraying your wife, like my goodness.
Yeah, well, she was in the shower, so she didn't get sprayed, but she had to clean up the mess that left in the bathroom. And for the skeptic out there that's thinking, oh, maybe the on-off switch was in a bad position because it's a battery operated. The switch is very rigid. You have to really flick it to get it into an on position. There's no halfway where maybe some vibration might switch it over. I completely debunked that. So for the skeptics out there thinking that's not nonsense, it's not.
Listen, we touched briefly on the television shows. Do you find that these television shows now, is it me, or are they adding a lot more sensationalism to what they're doing?
Oh no, without a doubt, they are adding the sensationalism, and it's not just you, me. There's so many people in the paranormal community I talk to or I see on social media who all say the same thing. Like, I love Ghost Adventures to death. They got me started on my paranormal. My wife is going to kill Aaron the first time she sees him because he got me into this. Yeah, everything now is a demon and evil and super darkness. And that's a problem when you investigate a house, for example, because people have been watching, they watch the Hollywood movies, they watch these ghost shows because things are happening in their house, and then now they're thinking, I've got a demon, Satan, Beelzebub is in the house, and in most cases, it's nothing more than a spirit that's just trying to get their attention. But of course, when you see, you know, a TV turn on by itself, or maybe, you know, some little poltergeist activity, they freak out like they're going to be dragged into the gates of hell. When it's just, look, it's a ghost saying, I know you can't hear me and you can't see me, but here I am, here I am. So yeah, I think that causes a lot of problems, and also with some of these new teams that come out and they see these shows, they go in with the mindset that, oh, everything's a demon, so they scare homeowners and they say, oh, well, you definitely have demonic property because you heard somebody knock on the wall, and then the homeowners freak out.
But
then somebody's got to go in.
Isn't there the possibility that they may be doing a lot of damage by misidentifying what is actually going on and causing psychological trauma for the homeowners?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I have a friend from Canada. This was a couple of years ago. She said that she was called into a case because one of these fly-by-night teams looking for, you know, evidence to get famous told, you know, a mother, and it was a single mother with 3 or 4 kids.
Oh, heavens.
Yeah, that they had demons in the house, and the mother freaked out and thought, you know, the world's coming to an end. And then my friend, they went to go in with psychics, and you're right. There's a lot of psychological damage that's done, and then that's got to be undone. Besides trying to figure out what's causing problems in the house, but then there's still those lingering doubts. Like I could go in and say, it's not a demon. It's just somebody who's here. Don't worry about it. Ignore them. You're fine. But in the back of their head, because somebody already suggested the word demon, that little speck of doubt still lingers back there, and it's a problem.
So how do you deal with skepticism?
In my case, I really don't. If I have a skeptic come up and tell me, and it happens from time to time, like, I don't believe in this, you know, that's fine. There's the hardcore skeptic that, unless scientists, like real scientists, like MIT or, you know, something like that, can capture a ghost, and there can be scientific findings, which is, you and me know, that's probably never going to happen in our lifetimes. Unless they can actually see the ghost and there's or a personal experience, they're not going to believe in it. A quick example: I've got a friend named Jeff who would always ridicule me on the ghost. He goes up to Vermont fishing with his brother and some friends in a lake up there, and I'm hanging out with some friends in Bayonne, and then the next thing, Jeff is sending out a message on Facebook that by the shoreline where they were fishing, a 7-foot Bigfoot walked out of the woods and passed them. Now, had I seen that, he would have said, "Oh, that's complete nonsense." But now that he saw it with his own eyes, you know, he's got a little bit more of an open mind right now.
What is your take on the other aspects of the paranormal? For example, UFOs, Bigfoot, alien abductions, and, you know, the Loch Ness Monster and everything else. Is there a connection between investigating the spiritual side of the paranormal and the rest of the paranormal?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, if somebody called me tomorrow and said, "Hey, Chuck, over at Monmouth Battlefield, we have Bigfoot footprints," I'd be down there in 2 seconds with my camcorders and, you know, trying to look into it. But I myself could never branch out into fields like that, because I think every field was UFO, Bigfoot, you know, lake monster. Everything has got its own area of expertise. I mean, I would love to go to Scotland and look for the Loch Ness Monster, or I'd love to go to Oregon and spend, you know, a couple of weeks in the woods looking for a Bigfoot. But I really think you have to have the mindset and the, you know, equipment, knowledge for, you know, each individual thing, you know, hiking and camping and outdoorsmanship for, you know, for the woods. You got to know what you're dealing with out there. So, I mean, for me personally, I'm just going to stick to the spirits. And I know my wife is listening right now, and she's going, "Thank God."
Oh, my heavens. Exonation, my guest this hour is Chuck Lehmen. He is the gentleman behind Chuck's Paranormal Adventures, and their website is chucksghosts.com. What is Chuck's Paranormal Adventures? Do you actually organize adventure tours and away you go?
Actually, like I said, it started off because when I started off doing the local cemeteries and doing EVPs, I would send emails out to people about, oh, look what's going on. And then more and more people wanted to be added to the email list, and I'm like, well, this is going to be a pain in the neck. So I said, maybe I'll do a website. And then I figured, what can I do for a name? And then I always wanted to include something with Ghost Adventures as a tribute to them for starting. So I said, all right, well, Chuck's Paranormal Adventures, that's good. It reflects me as a solo person. I've actually tried to inquire with the Park Service about running tours at Monmouth Battlefield to help raise money for the restoration of the farmhouses that are on the property and still standing after all this time. And they always need a lot of money, but the Park Service really doesn't want to get into the paranormal aspect of it. They would rather just stick with park stuff and historical restoration. But I do take out local groups. The Reiki school I belong to. Occasionally, about twice a year, we get together and I take them out to different locations.
I have a call back for 866 negative K, nothing further, just
In over 36 years in law enforcement, I've learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, extraterrestrials, and UFOs, how we gather that evidence of their existence, preserve that same evidence, and present it to a court of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Come with me on a journey that seeks to prove with undisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Join me, Larry Lawson, host of the Paranormal Stakeout, coming to the X-Zone Broadcast Network. Check out the broadcast schedule for Paranormal Stakeout with yours truly, Larry Lawson, at www.xzbn.net. For more information about me, my travels, and my team, check out our website at www.paranormalfbi.com or join us on Facebook at Florida Bureau of Paranormal.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Welcome back, X-Zone Nation. When we come back from the news at the top of the hour, Eric Stearns will be joining me. We're going to be talking about what happened in Orlando. We're also going to be talking about breaking news that Russian hackers hacked into the DNC computers and apparently took information about Donald Trump. What does this mean, or is this a very nasty conspiracy that is being perpetrated by the DNC to put the light of shame on Donald Trump? Something doesn't sit right with me on this one. We'll discuss it with Eric Stearns on the other side of the news. Chuck Lehman is our guest. He is the founder of Chuck's Paranormal Adventures. His website is chucksghost.com. First of all, Chuck, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Great talking to you.
Yes.
What words of wisdom do you have for the listening audience? And let me ask you this. How can they know if they need someone to come and help them investigate something that is strange or bizarre in their homes? How can they find a reputable organization like yours in their own area?
There are a few directories online. Really the best thing to do would do a Google or Bing search for, if you live in, Hamilton, do, Paranormal Investigators Hamilton. Check the area where you live, check the definitely check the social media to see if they have social media site. Bad investigators will certainly have a lot of bad comments left about them on it. See how long they've been around. Do they have a website? Do they have YouTube videos? See how much evidence and what they've done, and do some research. Don't just call the first team because they happen to live 5 minutes away. Because, like as we discussed, and I'm sure you've heard before, not every team is out there with the interest of the client in mind. It's more of a self-serving thing. They're looking for a case because they think it's going to make them famous.
They're looking for the smoking gun that'll get them to Hollywood.
Correct.
I've got some bad news for them. They're not going to find it.
Nope. Like I said, I learned that right away, and if people don't believe it, if they think they're going to get there, go on eBay and find all that equipment being sold dirt cheap.
Has anybody ever looked at paranormal investigations through the eyes of spirits? Like, at times, are they being disrespected?
Oh, sure. Again, and that comes from a less reputable team. You go into like a hospital. Let's say, or a sanatorium where people were ill.
Right.
Back in the day, people were treated badly. Why would somebody go in there and start demanding spirits, light up my K2 meter or set off my REM pod? It doesn't. These people are still, even after death, they are still human beings with the same emotions they had when they were alive.
Very
now,
true.
The only time I would say, I wouldn't say be disrespectful, but be firm and tough, again, would be a prison investigation where you're dealing with murderers and hardcore people, and you don't want to appear weak. But I wouldn't say go in there and start acting like, a badass, because as some people probably have learned over the years, it doesn't matter how many muscles you have. You can swing your fist, but that's not going to hurt the ghost.
That is very true. That is very true. We've got about a minute left. What would you suggest people do who want to pursue a career or even a hobby or even investigate the possibility of becoming a paranormal investigator?
I would definitely recommend joining a team. I do a solo thing, but I'm aware of the risk. A lot of people frown upon it within their own teams. They don't want to send investigators out on their own. Try to find a local team to hook up with, or if you're going to go out and do a lot of research like I did first. I didn't just grab stuff and go out there. I spent months researching other teams, reading books, and getting some general